Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about 12 Stoic secrets for doing your best. And trust me, these tips are going to change how you look at challenges, work, and even your own goals. Now, I know life can get pretty overwhelming sometimes, and it feels like there's just too much to handle all at once, right? That's where Stoicism comes in. It's all about focusing on what you can control and letting go of the rest. Sounds pretty good. Huh. In this episode, we're diving into practical real-life ways you can use ancient Stoic wisdom to 0043 level up your mindset and your daily grind. We'll cover everything from how to stay calm under pressure to how you can turn failures into stepping stones for success. The best part, these are principles you can start using today. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. If you're ready to learn some timeless wisdom, that'll make life a little smoother and a lot more meaningful. Let's jump into it. One, focus only on what you can control. All right, let's kick things off with one of the most important Stoic lessons. Focus only on what you can control. This sounds simple, but it's actually a game changer. Once you start applying it, think about it. How much time do we waste stressing over things that are completely out of our hands? Other people's opinions, random events, or even things like the weather. We get all caught up worrying about stuff we can't change, and it just drains our energy. What can you really control? The Stoics were pretty clear about this. There are only three things. You can truly control your thoughts, your actions, 0208, and your attitude, everything else that's out of your hands. You can't control if someone likes you, if you get that promotion, or if things go exactly as planned, but you can control how you show up, how hard you work, and how you respond when things don't go your way. Take a situation where you're working on a big project at your job. You can control how much effort you put in, how prepared you are, and your attitude about the whole thing. But what if the outcome isn't what you expected? Maybe your boss didn't like it, or external factors affected the project's success. The Stoics would say, hey, you did your part. The rest wasn't up to you. That's the key when you focus on what you can control. You free yourself from all that unnecessary stress about the outcome. The Stoic approach, internal versus external Epictetus, one of the big names in Stoic philosophy, said it best. Some things are in our control and others are not. Once you really get this, it changes how you deal with challenges. The more time and energy you spend on things you can't control, the more stressed out and 0329 frustrated get. But if you focus on what's actually within your power, your thoughts, actions, and how you handle situations, you'll feel more in control and less weighed down by things you can't fix. In Stoicism, they break life down into two categories: internals, things you can control, and externals, things you can't. The trick is to invest your energy in the internal stuff and let the external stuff go. Sounds easy, but it takes practice. Life example, dealing with criticism. Let's say you get some harsh feedback from your boss or a colleague, 0414. Your first reaction might be to get defensive or feel like you've messed up. But here's the Stoic way to look at it. You can't control someone else's opinion or how they express it. What you can control is how you respond. Do you get upset and let it ruin your day? Or do you take a step back, evaluate the feedback, and decide whether it's useful or just noise? By focusing on what you can control your reaction, you stay calm and clear-headed. No matter how tough the criticism is, how to focus on what you can control. Here are a few ways you can 0457 start shifting your focus to the things you actually have power over. Make a control list. Next time you're feeling overwhelmed, grab a pen and paper and jot down what's in your control and what isn't. This will help you figure out where to direct your energy. Practice acceptance. If something is out of your control, like a traffic jam or a last-minute change in plans, practice accepting it without resistance. Fighting reality only makes things hard. Reframe challenges instead of seeing every problem as a disaster. Ask yourself, What can I do about this? Right? 0541. Now, this small shift helps you feel more empowered and less stressed. Real life example dealing with uncertainty. Let's talk about something. We've all been through times of uncertainty, whether it's a job market, downturn, a pandemic, or personal struggles. Life can throw some major curveballs. You can't control those big events, but you can control how you react. Take the pandemic, for example. So many things were out of our hands, lockdowns, job changes, health concerns, but people who stayed focused on what they could, 0621 control, like taking care of their mental health, building new skills, or finding ways to stay connected with loved ones, ended up feeling more grounded and less overwhelmed. Letting go of perfectionism. A lot of us fall into the trap of perfectionism where we feel like we have to control every little detail and get everything just right. But perfectionism is exhausting, and it's usually focused on things we can't really control, like how others perceive our work or how flawless the outcome is. The Stoics would tell you to aim for 0702, progress not perfection. Do your best and be okay with the fact that some things won't go exactly as planned. It's freeing once you let go of the idea that everything has to be perfect. For example, if you're preparing for a presentation, focus on what you can control: your preparation, your delivery, and your confidence. Once you've done that, let go of worrying about how others will react. You did your best, and that's enough. Why? Focusing on what you can control helps you thrive when you start focusing on what's actually within your control. Here's what 0745 happens. Less stress. You stop wasting time and energy worrying about things you can't change, which leads to a karma more focused mindset. 2, more productivity. By putting your energy into things you can actually influence, you'll get more done and feel more accomplished. 3, greater resilience. Life will always have challenges, but when you focus on your response instead of the problem, you become stronger and better equipped to handle setbacks. Peace of mind. Letting go of things you can't control gives you a sense of freedom. 0830, and inner peace. Conclusion. Focusing on what you can control. Freedom. At the end of the day, the Stoics remind us that our true power lies in controlling ourselves, our thoughts, our actions, and our attitudes. Everything else that's up to the universe and stressing about it won't change a thing. So next time you find yourself getting stressed or overwhelmed, ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, let it go. And if the answer is yes, then focus on what you can do right now to move forward. This mindset shift will help you feel more in control of your life, less stressed, and more at peace with whatever comes your way. 2, do your best in everything, but let go of the outcome. Now let's dive into something super important: doing your best, but not getting attached to the outcome. This one can be tough to wrap your head around because naturally we all want good results, right? But the Stoics had a different approach. They believed that while you should absolutely give your all in whatever you're doing, you should 0953. Also understand that the final result isn't always in your control. And honestly, once you get this concept, it'll take a huge weight off your shoulders. Why it's so important to let go of the outcome. Think about how much stress comes from worrying about how things will turn out, whether it's a big work project, a relationship, or even something small like a social media post. We often get obsessed with what the result will be. Will my boss like it? Will I get that promotion? Will people think I'm smart or cool? The problem with that kind of thinking is that you're putting all your energy into something you can't fully control. The Stoics, like Epictetus, taught that you should focus on what you can control: your effort, preparation, and attitude. The outcome that's influenced by so many other factors, other people's circumstances, time, and things that are completely out of your hands. Once you understand this, you can stop stressing so much about the end result and just focus on giving your best effort. That's where the real power is, the Stoic way. Effort over 1116 results. The Stoics believed that you should do everything with excellence. But they also understood that the final outcome is never guaranteed. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Basically, the Stoic approach is to give 100% to whatever you're doing, but not let your happiness or peace depend on whether you win or lose. You did your part. That's what matters. Imagine you're studying for a big exam. You study hard, prepare well, and feel ready, but on the day of the test, something throws you off. Maybe you didn't sleep well, or the questions were harder than expected. You don't do as well as you hoped. The Stoic response would be to accept that you did everything within your control, and that's enough. The grade is out of your hands. Now you can't control it anymore, and stressing over it won't help. How to let go of the outcome while still doing your best. Letting go of the outcome doesn't mean you stop caring or that you don't put in the effort. It just means you're focusing more on the process and less on the 12-40 result. Here's how you can start doing that. Set process-based goals instead of setting goals that are all about the outcome. Like, I want to get promoted, or I want 100,000 followers. Set goals based on the effort you can control, like, I will improve my skills, or I will post content consistently. This way, you're measuring success based on what you're doing, not on things you can't control. Celebrate the effort, not just the result. If you've worked hard on something, give yourself credit for the effort. Even if things didn't turn out exactly as planned, learn to appreciate the process. Don't take setbacks personally. Sometimes, even when you've done everything right, things don't work out. It's important to remember that the outcome often depends on things beyond your control, like timing or other people's decisions. Don't let that discourage you from giving your best in the future. Real-life example, job interviews. Let's say you're applying for your dream job. You put together a killer resume practice for the interview and walk in feeling confident. You give it 1407 your all, but later find out you didn't get the job in this situation. It's easy to feel disappointed or even question your worth, but here's the Stoic approach. You can't control the hiring decision, only your effort and preparation. You did your best in the interview, and that's what matters. The fact that you didn't get the job that could be due to factors you'll never know about. Maybe they already had an internal candidate in mind, or maybe someone else was just a better fit for their needs. By letting go of the outcome and focusing on your effort, you walk away from the situation knowing that you did everything you could, and guess what? That leaves you with more confidence for the next opportunity instead of feeling beaten down by a rejection that wasn't in your control. The benefits of letting go of the outcome. When you stop obsessing over the results, you'll notice a few key things happen. One, less stress and anxiety. You stop worrying about things you can't control and focus on what you can actually influence your effort. 2, more confidence. You'll feel good knowing that 1530 you gave it your all regardless of the outcome. 3, improve resilience. When things don't go as planned, you'll be better equipped to bounce back, knowing it's not a reflection of your worth or effort. 4, more enjoyment. Focusing on the process rather than the result makes things a lot more enjoyable. You'll find yourself less caught up in the pressure to succeed and more engaged in the work itself. Overcoming the fear of failure. A lot of the stress around outcomes comes from a fear of failure. We're so afraid of messing up or not meeting expectations that we end up paralyzed by the fear itself. But when you stop attaching your worth to the outcome, failure becomes less scary. You realize that failure is just feedback. It's telling you what didn't work, but it doesn't mean you didn't work hard. For example, if you start a business and it doesn't take off the way you hoped, you can either see it as a total failure or as a learning experience. The Stoics would say, what did you learn? How can you use this to do better next time? By shifting the focus from the end 1652 result to the effort and lessons learned. Failure becomes a stepping stone rather than a dead-end conclusion. Focus on effort, not the end result. At the end of the day, the Stoics remind us that success isn't just about hitting a certain milestone or achieving a specific goal. It's about how much effort we put in, how we handled ourselves, and what we learned along the way, the outcome that's often out of our control. So why stress over it? Next time you're working on something important, whether it's a career goal, a relationship, or even a personal project, remember to give it your all, but don't let the final result define your success. Focus on what you can control, your effort, your attitude, and let go of the rest. You'll feel less pressure, more peace, and ironically, you might even start getting better results because you're not so stressed about them. 3, practice self-discipline every day. Now let's talk about self-discipline, the backbone of doing your best. This is one of those skills that makes everything else possible. Whether you're 18, 16, trying to build a new habit, hit a goal, or just be more consistent in your daily life, self-discipline is what keeps you going even when motivation disappears. And trust me, motivation isn't always going to be there. Why self-discipline matters so much. Here's the thing. Motivation is great, but it's temporary. One day you might wake up feeling super inspired and ready to conquer the world, but the next day, not so much. Self-discipline is what steps in when motivation takes a day off. It's about doing what needs to be done. 1857, even when you don't feel like it. Think about it like this. If you want to get in shape, it's easy to feel pumped about working out when you first start, but after a few weeks, when the excitement wears off, and it's just you and the treadmill at 6:00 a.m. What keeps you going? Self-discipline. It's that little voice in your head saying, I committed to this and I'm sticking to it. That's where the magic happens. The Stoic approach to self-discipline. The Stoics were huge on self-discipline. They believed that mastering yourself, your actions, thoughts, 1938, and impulses was the key to living a good life. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." What he meant was that real freedom comes from controlling your own behavior, not letting your desires, moods, or circumstances dictate your actions. In Stoicism, self-discipline isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about having the control to stick with what's important, even when it's tough. It's about showing up, doing the work, and being consistent. Whether you're feeling motivated or not, how to build self-discipline in your 2022 daily life. Building self-discipline doesn't happen overnight. It's like a muscle. You've got to work on it consistently to make it stronger. Here's how you can start building self-discipline even if you feel like you don't have much. Right now, start small. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to change everything at once. Pick one small thing to focus on. For example, if you want to build a morning routine, start by waking up 15 minutes earlier and gradually build from there. Create a routine. Routines are your best friend when it comes to discipline. Day 2105. Take the guesswork out of what you need to do next. When you follow a routine, you don't have to rely on motivation because you've already built in a structure to keep you on track. Remove temptations. Make it easier for yourself to stay disciplined by cutting out distractions. If you're trying to be more productive, turn off your phone notifications, or if you want to eat healthier, don't keep junk food around the house. Set yourself up for success. Real-life example, sticking to a workout plan. Let's say you've made a decision to 21:45, get in shape. You start out strong, going to the gym, eating better, and staying on track. But then life happens. Maybe you're tired from work, or you'd rather chill on the couch and binge watch your favorite show instead of sweating it out at the gym. This is where self-discipline comes in. It's about showing up even when you'd rather not. It's about reminding yourself of the bigger picture, why you started in the first place. You might not always feel motivated, but with discipline, you push through. And over time, those small daily actions lead to big results. It's consistency over time that makes the music difference. The benefits of self-discipline. When you practice self-discipline, a lot of great things start happening. One, more productivity. You get more done because you're not waiting around for the right mood or perfect conditions to start. You just do the work. Two, better self-control. The more you practice discipline, the better you get at resisting distractions and temptations. You start to build serious willpower. Three, increased 2305. Confidence every time you follow through on a commitment to yourself. You build trust in your ability to stick with things. That sense of accomplishment boosts your self-esteem. For long-term success, whether it's in your career, fitness, or personal growth. Self-discipline is what helps you reach your goal. Success is all about showing up consistently, even when it's hard, how to handle setbacks and stay. Music discipline. Let's be real, no one is disciplined all the time. You're going to have days where you slip up, miss a workout, or fall back into bad habits. That's normal. The key is to not let one bad day turn into a bad week or month. When you mess up, don't beat yourself up. Instead, recognize it, learn from it, and get back on track. Think of it like driving. If you hit a bump in the road, you don't stop driving, you just adjust and keep going. The same goes for discipline. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Dealing with procrastination. One of the biggest enemies of self-discipline is procrastination. You know, the drill 24-33. You got something important to do, but instead you scroll through Instagram, watch YouTube videos, or do anything but the task at hand. The Stoics would tell you that procrastination is just your brain trying to avoid discomfort. But the more you give in, the harder it gets to get stuff done. A good trick to beat procrastination, the 5-minute rule. Tell yourself you're only going to work on the task for 5 minutes. Once you get started, it's usually easier to keep going. Most of the time, the hardest part is just getting started. And once you do, you'll find your flow. Conclusion, self-discipline is your superpower. Self-discipline is what sets successful people apart. It's the skill that makes everything else possible. Whether you're trying to achieve a big goal, improve your habits, or just be more consistent in your daily life. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. So next time you're tempted to skip a workout, hit snooze on your alarm or put off that important task. Remember this, it's not about how you feel in the moment. It's about what you want in the long run by practicing self-discipline. 2556. You're building the foundation for long-term success, growth, and personal freedom. 4. Accept and learn from failure. All right, here's a big one. Failure. Nobody likes to fail, right? But here's the thing. If you're really trying to do your best in life, failure is going to be part of the process. And that's not just okay, it's necessary. The Stoics believe that failure is one of life's greatest teachers. And if you can accept it, learn from it, and keep moving forward, it'll push you toward growth and success in ways success alone never could. Why failure is a key to growth. Most of us were raised to see failure as something to avoid, something that says we didn't measure up. But what if we flip that perspective? What if failure wasn't the end, but just a step on the way to getting better when you fail at something? Whether it's a project, a relationship, or a goal, it's not a sign that you're not good enough. It's feedback. It's life saying, here's where you went wrong. Learn from it, adjust, and keep going. The Stoics didn't fear failure because they understood it's just part 22 of life. Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances. Action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Translation. The thing that blocks your path. Failure can actually become the path forward if you let it. It's all about perspective. Embracing failure like a Stoic. The Stoics taught that you can't control whether or not you'll fail because sometimes things just don't go your way. What you can control is how you react to failure. Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So instead of beating yourself up when things go wrong, use failure as a learning tool. Let's say you've been working toward a promotion at work, but you don't get it. You put in the effort, but someone else gets chosen. It's easy to feel frustrated or even embarrassed. But instead of seeing this as a defeat, the Stoic way would be to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Maybe you can improve certain skills, or maybe you'll find that this failure opens up a new path you hadn't considered before. The idea is to see failure as a stepping stone, not a dead 2849 end. How to learn from failure, embracing failure, is easier said than done, but it becomes a lot more manageable. When you have strategy, here are some practical ways to learn from failure instead of letting it bring you down. Reframe failure as feedback when something doesn't go as planned. Ask yourself, what's this teaching me, instead of viewing failure as a negative? See it as valuable information you can use to get better. Take responsibility, but don't beat yourself up. Acknowledge where things went wrong, but don't turn it into a personal attack on yourself. Failure doesn't define you. It's just an event. Separate yourself from the outcome. Keep trying, but try. Differently, the Stoics believed in persistence, but they also believed in adaptation. If you fail, don't just try the exact same thing again. Adjust your approach. Learn what didn't work and do something different next time. Real-life example, starting a business. Let's say you've decided to start your own business. You got a great idea. You've invested time and money, and you're ready to make it happen. 30-15. But things don't go as planned. The market doesn't respond the way you hoped, or you run into unexpected challenges. It's easy to see this as a failure, but the Stoic perspective would encourage you to dig deeper instead of seeing the business as a total failure. Ask yourself what you can learn from the experience. Maybe you need to tweak your marketing strategy, or maybe there's a better way to reach your target audience. The point is, failure isn't the end of your journey. It's just part of it. By learning from what didn't work, you get closer to what will the benefits of embracing failure when you stop fearing failure and start embracing it as part of the growth process. Several amazing things happen. One, you become more resilient each time you fail and get back up. You build mental toughness. You learn that failure doesn't break you. It makes you stronger too. You take more risks. Once you're no longer paralyzed by the fear of failure, you start taking bigger, bolder risks. You realize that failure isn't something to be afraid of. It's something to learn from. 3, you get better at what you do. 31-41 failure gives you feedback. Each time you fail, you gain insights into what didn't work and how you can improve over time. This helps you sharpen your skills and become more effective. 4, you detach from perfectionism. When you accept that failure is part of life, you stop striving for perfection. Instead, you focus on growth, progress, and doing your best even when things don't turn out perfectly, letting go of the fear of judgment. A lot of people fear failure because they're worried about what others will think. Will people judge me? Will they think I'm not good enough? But here's a Stoic truth. You can't control other people's opinions. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Why stress over what others think when their thoughts are out of your control? The truth is, most people are too focused on their own lives to care much about your failures, and even if they do notice, their opinions don't change the fact that failure is a normal part of 3302, trying and growing. The sooner you let go of worrying about judgment, the more you can focus on learning and improving, overcoming perfectionism. Perfectionism is one of the biggest barriers to embracing failure. If you're always trying to be perfect, failure feels like the worst thing that could happen. But perfectionism keeps you stuck. The Stoics believed that progress is what matters, not perfection. You don't have to get everything right on the first try or ever. Really, you just have to keep learning and improving. For example, if you're learning a new skill, like playing the guitar, you're going to mess up probably a lot. But instead of getting frustrated or giving up, recognize that each mistake is helping you improve. Every wrong note is getting you one step closer to playing the song perfectly. Conclusion failure is part of the path to success. At the end of the day, failure is not something to avoid. It's something to embrace. The Stoics knew that failure teaches us the most valuable lessons. It helps us grow, adapt, and become stronger. Every time you fail, you get a little bit 34-25 closer to your goals because you're learning what doesn't work and getting better at what does. So the next time you face a setback, don't let it discourage you. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to improve? Remember, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. Embrace it, learn from it, and keep moving forward. 5. Focus on the present moment. All right, now let's talk about something that's super important but often overlooked. Focusing on the present moment, we spend so much time worrying 35-15 about what's coming next or replaying things from the past that we forget the only thing we actually have control over is right now. The Stoics believe that the key to living a peaceful and effective life is to stay rooted in the present. You can't change the past and you can't predict the future. So why waste energy on either? Why the present moment is everything. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, said, confine yourself to the present. It's simple but powerful advice. The past, it's done. The future, it hasn't happened yet. All we truly have is this moment right here, right now. And when you focus on the present, you stop worrying about what's out of your control, whether that's regrets from the past or anxieties about the future. Think about how much time you spend in your own head, stressing about things that haven't even happened yet, or dwelling on mistakes you can't change. It's exhausting, right? But when you bring your attention back to the present, you free yourself from all that unnecessary stress. You start to see that the only time you can actually do anything about 3636, your life is now the Stoic way, living in the now. The Stoics were big on mindfulness before it was even a thing. They taught that we should focus on what's in front of us and not let our minds get pulled in too many directions. Epictetus said, people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. What he meant was that a lot of our stress comes from our thoughts, not from the actual events happening around us. For example, if you're stressed about a big meeting tomorrow, it's not the meeting that's stressing you out. It's your thoughts about what might happen in the meeting. But in the present moment, that meeting doesn't exist yet. Right now, you're just sitting there, probably with a coffee or scrolling through your phone. So why let your mind take you out of the present and into a future that hasn't even happened yet? How to practice being present, staying present, is easier said than done, especially in a world full of distractions. But like any other skill, it gets easier the more you practice. Here are a few ways to bring your attention, 3757, back to the present. Use your senses. One of the simplest ways to get back into the moment is to focus on your senses. What can you see, hear, smell, taste, or touch right now? Engaging your senses grounds you in the present and pulls you out of your head. Take deep breaths when you're feeling overwhelmed or distracted. Take a few slow, deep breaths. Focus on the sensation of your breath going in and out. This simple practice can bring you back to the moment and calm your mind. Single tasking in a world that glorifies multitasking. Try doing just one thing at a time, whether it's eating, working, or having a conversation. Give your full attention to that one activity. You'll notice that you're more engaged and less stressed. Real life example, managing stress at work. Let's say you're at work and you've got a ton of things on your plate. You're thinking about deadlines, meetings, emails you need to send, and all the things that could go wrong. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when your mind is racing in a million directions. But what if you brought your attention back to the present instead of worrying about everything at once? Focus on the one task in front of you. Take it step by step. The Stoic approach would be to concentrate on what you can do right now to move forward. You can't tackle everything at once, but you can handle the present moment. By doing this, you reduce stress and increase your productivity. Why focusing on the present makes life easier. When you start living in the present, you'll notice a lot of things getting easier. One less stress and anxiety. Most of our stress comes from worrying about the future or regretting the past. Staying present helps you let go of those worries and focus on what's real and actionable right now. 2. Better focus and productivity. When you're fully present in what you're doing, you're more focused and efficient. You're not distracted by what happened earlier or what might happen later. You're just doing what needs to be done. Now, 3 more, enjoyment. The present moment is where life actually happens. When you're focused on now, you start to appreciate the little things like a conversation with a friend, a good meal, or even just a peaceful walk. 4, improved relationships. Being present with the people around you. Really listen and engaging strengthens your relationships. People can tell when you're truly there with them, and it makes a huge difference. Letting go of the past and future. One of the hardest parts of staying present is letting go of the past and future. Maybe you've made mistakes, or maybe you're worried about something coming up, but the Stoics remind us that we can't change the past and we can't predict the future. All we can do is make the best decisions in the moment and let everything else unfold as it will. For example, let's say you're stressing about a conversation you had last week. Maybe you wish you'd said something different or handled it better, but that moment's gone. It's over. Instead of replaying it in your head, ask yourself, what can I do right now? Maybe you can apologize, CL, clarify your thoughts, or simply move on. Either way, your energy is better spent on the present than on the past. How to stay present in everyday life. Being present isn't just for meditation or calm moments. It's 4217, something you can practice all day long, whether you're washing the dishes, commuting to work, or even just scrolling through your phone. Try to bring your attention back to what you're doing. Notice the details, feel your surroundings, and remind yourself that now is the only time that really exists. For example, the next time you're having a meal, instead of scrolling on your phone or thinking about your to-do list, just focus on the food. How does it taste? What's the texture like? By staying present, even in small moments, you'll find that life feels richer and more fulfilling. Conclusion, the power of living in the present moment, is all we have. It's where life happens, where decisions are made, and where we find peace. The Stoics understood that living in the now is the key to reducing stress, staying focused, and finding joy in the everyday. When you focus on the present, you stop getting caught up in what already happened or what might happen, and you start living with more intention and clarity. So next time you catch yourself worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, pause and bring your attention back to now. What can you do in this moment? How can you make the most of where you are right now? By focusing on the present, you'll find that life becomes a lot easier, more peaceful, and more meaningful. 6, focus on your actions, not the opinions of others. Let's face it, most of us spend way too much time worrying about what other people think, whether it's about our appearance, our career choices, or even the way we talk. We get caught up in other people's opinions. But the Stoics had a different take. They believed that we should focus on our own actions and let go of the need for approval or validation from others. In their view, worrying about what others think is a waste of energy because it's completely out of our control. Why you shouldn't let others' opinions control you. Think about how many decisions you've made or didn't make because you were worried about how someone might react. Maybe you hesitated to start a new hobby because you were afraid people would judge you. Or maybe you held back on sharing your opinion because you didn't want to be criticized. The problem with living like this is that it holds you back. When you let other people's opinions dictate your actions, you're giving away your power. The Stoics believe that other people's thoughts and judgments are outside of your control. Marcus Aurelius said, "It never ceases to amaze me." We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. That's real talk, right? We care so much about how we're perceived that we often forget to just focus on being the 45, 48 best version of ourselves. The Stoics remind us that the only thing we should care about is how we're living our lives according to our own values and principles. The Stoic way, do the right thing, no matter what the Stoics taught, that we should always focus on doing what's right, regardless of what others think. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Basically, if you're going to grow and live a meaningful life, you have to be okay with the fact that not everyone is going to understand or support your decisions. And that's fine, because their opinion doesn't change your worth or the value of your actions. For example, imagine you're trying to improve your fitness. You start going to the gym regularly, but your friends start teasing you, saying, "Why are you wasting your time?" You'll never stick with it. If you're too worried about their opinions, you might quit just to avoid the judgment. But the Stoics would encourage you to stick to your goals, because what matters is your own progress, not what others think of 4705 and how to stop worrying about what others think. Letting go of the need for approval is tough, especially in a world where social media constantly puts other people's opinions front and center. But there are ways to train yourself to focus on your own actions. Instead of getting caught up in how others perceive you, remind yourself of what's in your control, other people's opinions. Totally outside your control, your actions fully within your control. When you feel the urge to seek validation, remind yourself that what truly matters is whether you're doing the right thing. Focus on your values. If you're clear on your own values and what's important to you, it becomes easier to tune out the noise. Ask yourself, does this decision align with my values? If the answer is yes, then keep going, no matter what others think. Accept that you can't please everyone. No matter what you do, there will always be people who don't agree or don't like it. Instead of trying to win everyone's approval, focus on staying true to yourself. Real life example, career choices. Let's say you've always wanted 4833 to switch careers and follow your passion. Maybe you're working in finance, but you got a real love for photography. You start thinking about leaving your corporate job to pursue a creative career, but then your family and friends start chiming in. Are you crazy? You can't make a living doing that? It's easy to get discouraged, Ed, when the people around you don't support your dreams. But here's the Stoic mindset. You can't control their opinions. What you can control is your own dedication and effort. If photography is what makes you feel alive and you're willing to put in the work, then their opinions don't really matter. What matters is that you're following your own path, living according to your values, and doing what feels right for you. The benefits of letting go of other people's opinions when you stop caring so much about what others think. A lot of positive changes start happening in your life. One, more confidence. You stop second-guessing yourself and start trusting your own judgment. You make decisions based on what feels right for you, not 4951 based on how you think others will react. 2, greater freedom. You free yourself from the pressure to fit in or meet other people's expectations. You get to live life on your own terms. 3, less stress. Worrying about how others will perceive you is exhausting. Letting go of that worry reduces a lot of unnecessary stress. 4, better relationships. When you're not constantly seeking approval, you become more authentic in your relationship. You connect with people who appreciate you for who you really are, not for the version of yourself that's trying to please everyone. Dealing with criticism, let's be real, no matter how hard you try to focus on your own actions, criticism is going to come your way. At some point, people will always have something to say. The Stoics would tell you that the key to handling criticism is to separate the feedback from your ego. If the criticism is valid, use it as an opportunity to learn and grow. If it's not, let it go. Either way, it doesn't define you. For example, if someone criticizes your work, take a step back and ask yourself, is there something I can improve here? If the answer is yes, great. Make the adjustment and move on. If the criticism is just someone being negative for no reason, don't take it personally. Their opinion is just that, an opinion. It doesn't change the value of your effort or your worth as a person. Overcoming the need for validation, seeking validation from others is a natural human tendency, but it can become a trap. The more you rely on external approval to feel good about yourself, the more you give up control of your happiness. The Stoics would encourage you to find your validation internally based on your actions, your values, and your own sense of what's right. For instance, if you're working on a project and no one gives you praise or recognition, does that mean the project wasn't valuable? Of course not. The Stoic mindset would be to recognize the effort and progress you made regardless of whether anyone else notices. When you stop needing validation from others, you become more self-reliant and more secure in who you are. Conclusion, stay true to your actions, not other people's opinions. The Stoics remind us that our actions are the only things truly within our control. Other people's opinions, those are out of our hands. When you focus on doing what's right, staying true to your values, and working toward your own goals, you stop letting other people's judgments dictate your choices. And that's when real freedom and confidence come into play. So next time you find yourself worrying about what someone else might think, take a breath and remember, is this in my control? If not, let it go. Focus on what you can control, your own actions, and you'll find that life becomes a lot more peaceful and fulfilling. 7. Embrace change. Is the only constant. One of the most challenging but important Stoic lessons is learning to embrace change. Change is inevitable, whether it's in your personal life, your career, your relationships, or even in how you view yourself. Things are always evolving. The Stoics believe that instead of resisting change or fearing it, we should accept it as a natural part of life. By doing this, we reduce our stress and increase our ability to adapt and thrive. No matter what life throws our way, why, change is a fact of life. Think about how much in your life has already changed. Maybe you've moved, started a new job, lost touch with certain friends, or taken on new challenges. Change is happening all the time, whether we like it or not. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." What he meant was that change is a given, but how we respond to it is what shapes our experience. When you resist change, you create unnecessary suffering. You fight against reality, hoping things will stay the same, when in fact they won't. But when you embrace change, you open yourself up to new possibilities, new opportunities, and new ways to grow. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. The Stoic way: accept change with grace. The Stoics believe that everything in life is temporary. Epictetus said, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgment concerning them." Basically, it's not the change itself that causes stress. It's how we think about the change. If you view change as something scary or negative, you're going to feel anxious and resist it. But if you see change as a normal part of life, you can handle it with more grace and calmness. For example, let's say you're in a job you love, but the company decides to downsize and you lose your position. If you resist this change, you might feel angry, frustrated, or stuck in a loop of, "Why did this happen to me?" But the Stoic approach would be to accept The change focus on what you can control and start looking for new opportunities. Yes, it's disappointing, but it's also a chance for something new to come into your life. How to embrace change instead of fearing it. Embracing change isn't always easy, especially when the change is unexpected or unwanted, but there are ways to practice being more adaptable and open to the shifts that life brings. Accept that change is natural. Change is part of the human experience. Once you accept that nothing stays the same forever, you'll find it easier to go with the flow instead of fighting against it. Focus on what you can control when change happens. Ask yourself, what's in my control here? Maybe you can't control the fact that a relationship ended or that you didn't get the promotion you wanted, but you can control how you respond, how you learn from the situation, and what you do next. Reframe the change as an opportunity instead of seeing change as something that disrupts your life. Try to view it as an opportunity for growth, truth. Ask yourself, how can I use this change to improve myself or my situation? This mindset shift can help you see the positive side of even the most difficult changes. Real life example, moving to a new city. Let's say you have to move to a new city for work. You built a life in your current city, friends, routines, favorite places, and now you're being uprooted. It's natural to feel nervous or sad about leaving everything behind. But instead of resisting the move and focusing on what you're losing, the Stoic way would be to embrace the change and look forward to what's ahead. Maybe moving to a new city means new experiences, new friends, and new opportunities. By focusing on the possibilities that come with change, you allow yourself to adapt and thrive in your new environment instead of clinging to the past. You're open to what's coming next. The benefits of embracing change when you learn to embrace change instead of fearing it. Life becomes a lot more manageable and even exciting. One less stress. You stop wasting energy trying to keep things the same, and you start flowing with life's natural changes to more adaptability. You become more flexible and open to new experiences, which helps you handle unexpected situations with ease. 3, greater resilience. Every time you adapt to a change, you build mental and emotional resilience. You become stronger and more capable of handling whatever comes your way. 4, new opportunities. When you embrace change, you open yourself up to new possibilities that you might not have considered before. What seems like a loss at first could actually lead to something even better down the road. Overcoming the fear of uncertainty. One of the biggest reasons people fear change is because it brings uncertainty. We like knowing what's coming next. It makes us feel safe. But the Stoics remind us that certainty is an illusion, like life is always uncertain whether we realize it or not. The future is unpredictable, and trying to control every detail is impossible. Instead of fearing the unknown, the Stoics encourage us to prepare for it. This doesn't mean expecting the worst, but being ready for whatever comes. Epictetus said, difficulties are things that show a person what they are. In other words, change and uncertainty are what reveal our strength and character. When you face uncertainty with a calm, prepared mindset, you build confidence in your ability to handle whatever life throws your way, letting go of the past. Another reason we struggle with change is because we're attached to the past. Maybe it's a job you loved, a relationship you valued, or even a phase of life that felt comfortable. But the Stoics believed that clinging to the past only causes suffering. Everything in life is temporary. And when you hold on to things that are no longer part of your reality, you create frustration and pain. For example, if you're stuck thinking about how good things used to be, you're not giving yourself the chance to enjoy or even recognize the good things that are happening right now. The Stoic approach would be to appreciate the past for what it was, but not let it stop you from moving forward. Life is always moving forward. And so should we. Conclusion, embrace change for a fuller life. At the end of the day, change is inevitable. It's the one thing you can always count on. The Stoics teaches that 10148, by accepting and embracing change, we free ourselves from the stress of resisting reality instead of fearing the unknown or clinging to the past. We can learn to flow with life's changes, adapt and grow stronger with every new experience. So the next time you're faced with a big change, whether it's something you wanted or something you didn't, take a deep breath and remind yourself that change is just part of life. Focus on what you can control, let go of what you can't, and trust that every change brings new opportunities for growth and improvement. 8. Build inner strength through adversity. Here's a Stoic truth that might be hard to accept at first. Adversity is your greatest teacher. Life is never going to be a smooth ride 100% of the time, and the Stoics knew that instead of avoiding difficulties or wishing they didn't happen, they believed that adversity is what shapes our character and makes us stronger. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to build inner strength, resilience, and wisdom. It's all about how you respond to those tough moments, why adversity is essential for growth. Nobody likes going through hard times, but think about the moments in your life when you've grown the most. It's probably not when everything was going smoothly. It's during the arch owls, the setbacks, and the unexpected difficulties that you learn the most about yourself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the key Stoic philosophers, said the impediment to action advances. Action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Basically, the obstacle itself becomes the path forward. It's through the struggle that you grow. The Stoics believe that adversity is what reveals your true strength. It's easy to be calm and collected when things are going well. But when life throws you a curveball, that's when you get to prove what you're made of. The more you face adversity head-on, the more resilient and capable you become. The Stoic way: see adversity as an opportunity. When tough times come, most of us instinctively try to avoid or escape them, but the Stoics had a different mindset. They believed that adversity is not something to be feared or avoided, it's something to be embraced. Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." In other words, challenges reveal your true strength, your character, and your ability to rise above. For example, let's say you're dealing with a major setback at work. Maybe a project you've been working on for months falls apart, or you miss a big opportunity. Instead of seeing this as a failure or something to run from, the Stoics would encourage you to see it as an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. What went wrong? What can you do differently next time? How can you use this setback to make you stronger? How to build inner strength in tough times? Facing adversity doesn't mean you just tough it out without feeling anything. The Stoics weren't about ignoring emotions. They were about mastering your response to them. Here's how you can build inner strength when life gets tough. Acknowledge the challenge. The first step is to face the adversity head on. Don't pretend it's not happening or avoid it. Acknowledge the difficulty, accept it as part of life, and commit to dealing with it. Focus on your response. You can't always control what happens, but you can control how you respond. Focus on what's within: your power, your actions, your attitude, and your mindset. This is where your true strength lies. Learn from the experience. Every tough situation has something to teach you. Ask yourself, what can I learn? Learn from this, whether it's about yourself, your relationships, or your approach to life. There's always a lesson in adversity. Real-life example: overcoming financial hardship. Let's say you're going through a tough financial period. Maybe you lost your job, or maybe you're struggling with debt. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and discouraged when money is tight, but this is exactly the kind of situation where you can build inner strength instead of letting the financial stress consume you. The Stoic approach would be to focus on what you can control. How can you cut back on expenses? Can you take on a side job to bring in some extra income? What can you learn from this situation? that will help you in the future. The challenge isn't just about surviving. It's about learning to adapt, grow, and come out stronger on the other side. The benefits of building inner strength. When you face adversity with the right mindset, you don't just survive, you thrive. Here are some of the key benefits of building inner strength. Through tough times, one, increased resilience. The more challenges you face and overcome, the more resilient you become. You learn that you can handle whatever life throws at you, and that makes you stronger for future challenges. 2, greater self-confidence. Every time you overcome a difficulty, you build trust in yourself. You start to believe in your ability to handle tough situations, which boosts your self-confidence. 3, deeper wisdom. Adversity teaches you valuable lessons about life, relationships, and yourself. You become wiser, more thoughtful, and more capable of navigating life's ups and downs. 4, more appreciation for good times. Going through hard times makes you appreciate the good moments even more. When you faced adversity, you know how to savor the moments of peace, joy, and success. Handling emotional reactions when adversity strikes. Its nature. Natural to feel emotional anger, frustration, sadness, or even fear. The Stoics didn't believe in suppressing emotions, but they did believe in controlling how those emotions influenced your actions. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength in tough times." It's important to acknowledge your feelings without letting them control your actions. For example, if you're angry about something that went wrong, don't let that anger dictate your response. Instead, take a moment to calm yourself, reflect on the situation, and decide how to move forward in a productive way. This kind of emotional mastery is a key part of building inner strength, turning setbacks into strength. The Stoics believe that every setback is an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. It's not about pretending that challenges don't exist. It's about using those challenges to become better. When you face adversity, ask yourself, how can this make me stronger? Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's helping you develop new skills. Or maybe it's showing you a new path you hadn't considered before. For example, let's say you're going through a breakup. It's painful, and it's easy to get stuck in feelings of loss and disappointment. But what if you use this experience to learn more about yourself, to figure out what you really want in a relationship, or to grow emotionally by turning the setback into a chance for growth? You come out of the situation stronger than before. Conclusion: adversity builds strength, not weakness. The Stoics remind us that adversity isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. Life will always throw challenges our way, but it's how we respond to those challenges that defines our character. Every tough moment is an opportunity to build inner strength, resilience, and wisdom. So the next time you face a difficult situation, take a deep breath and remind yourself this is an opportunity to grow. Focus on what's in your control. Learn from the experience and use it to make yourself stronger. The more adversity you face, the stronger and more capable you become. 9, practice gratitude. Even in difficult times, gratitude might seem like something you only focus on when things are going well. But the Stoics believe that it's especially important to practice gratitude during tough times. When life gets hard, it's easy to fall into a negative mindset, feeling like nothing is going your way. But even in adversity, there's always something to be grateful for. By practicing gratitude, you shift your focus from what's going wrong to what's still good in your life. And that can make all the difference in how you handle challenges. Why gratitude is powerful, even when life is tough. When you're going through a difficult time, it's natural to focus on the problem. It's all you can think about, right? But constantly focusing on the negative only adds to your stress and anxiety. The Stoics believe that gratitude helps you step back and get some perspective. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Basically, it's about appreciating what you have instead of getting stuck on what you don't. Even in the worst situations, there's always something you can be grateful for. Maybe it's your health, the support of a friend, or simply the fact that you're learning and growing from the experience. Gratitude doesn't erase the problem, but it helps you see that life is still full of good things, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. The Stoic approach, gratitude in every situation. The Stoics taught that gratitude isn't just for the good times, it's for every situation, even the tough ones. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his journal every morning about what he was thankful for. Even as he faced immense pressures and challenges, he believed that focusing on gratitude helped him stay grounded and focused on what really mattered, no matter what was happening around him. For example, let's say you're going through a rough patch in your career. Maybe you didn't get the promotion you were hoping for, or you're feeling stuck in a job you don't love. It's easy to get caught up in frustration and disappointment, but the Stoic way would be to step back and think about what you can still be grateful for. Maybe it's the fact that you have a job when many people are struggling to find work, or maybe it's the opportunity to learn new skills or reflect on what's really important to you. By practicing gratitude, you shift your focus from what you don't have to what you do have. And that makes all the difference, how to practice gratitude, even when it's hard. Practicing gratitude during 1:15:05 difficult times isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about finding small things to appreciate even when life is tough. Here's how you can start. Building gratitude into your daily life, no matter what's going on. Start with the basics. When things are really tough, it's easy to overlook the simple things, but the basics like having a roof over your head, food to eat, and people who care about you are always something to be grateful for. Start with these when you're struggling to find gratitude in bigger areas of your life. Make it a daily habit. Try starting or ending your day with a quick gratitude practice. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each day, even if they're small over time. This habit can rewire your brain to focus more on the positive, even during difficult times. Look for the lesson. Even in the hardest situations, there's usually a lesson to be learned. Maybe the challenge is teaching you patience, resilience, or a new perspective. Gratitude doesn't mean you're happy about the problem, but it means you appreciate the growth. It's bringing real-life example, finding gratitude in loss. Let's say you've experienced a personal loss, like the end of a relationship or even the death of a loved one. It's incredibly hard to find gratitude in moments of grief, but the Stoics would encourage you to reflect on what that person or relationship brought into your life instead of focusing only on the pain of the loss. You can focus on the good memories, the lessons you learned, and the impact that person had on you. For example, if you've lost a loved one, you can practice gratitude by remembering the times you spent together, the love and support they gave you, and how they helped shape who you are today. It doesn't take away the pain, but it helps you find a sense of peace in knowing that their influence continues to be a part of your life. The benefits of practicing gratitude. When you practice gratitude, especially during tough times, you open yourself up to several key benefits that improve your mental and emotional well-being. 1. Improved mental health. Focusing on gratitude helps reduce feelings of depression, anxiety, and stress. It shifts your mindset from negative to positive, which can make tough times easier to bear. 2. Increased resilience. When you practice gratitude, you become more resilient in the face of adversity. You learn to see the good even when things aren't going your way, and that makes you stronger. 3. Stronger relationships. Gratitude isn't just about being thankful for material things. It's also about appreciating the people in your life. Practicing gratitude can strengthen your connections with others. Even during difficult times, for more optimism, gratitude helps you maintain a more positive outlook on life. Even when things aren't perfect, you start to see challenges as opportunities for growth, and you appreciate the little victories along the way, letting go of the negative. One of the hardest parts of practicing gratitude during tough times is letting go of the negative. It's easy to focus on what's wrong or what's missing, but the Stoics would remind you that this is wasted energy. You can't change the past, and you can't always control the situation, but you can control how you view it. For example, if you're going through a financial hardship, you might be tempted to focus on what you've lost or what you can't afford. But practicing gratitude means shifting your focus to what you still have. Maybe you still have your health, your family, or your ability to work hard and improve your situation. By letting go of the negative and focusing on the positive, you create more space for hope and possibility. Gratitude in daily life. Gratitude isn't something you practice only when things are hard. It's something you can incorporate into your everyday life. Whether you're having a great day or a tough one, there's always something to be thankful for. The Stoics believe that by regularly practicing gratitude, you train your mind to focus on the good, even when life gets difficult. For example, the next time you're feeling frustrated or stressed, take a moment to pause and think. Think about what's still good in your life. Maybe it's a supportive friend, a sunny day, or a small accomplishment you achieved. By practicing gratitude regularly, you build a mindset that helps you stay positive and resilient. No matter what's going on, conclusion, gratitude is a superpower. Even in tough times, the Stoics remind us that gratitude isn't just for the good moments. It's for every moment. Even when life gets tough, there's always something to be thankful for. And practicing gratitude helps you stay grounded, positive, and resilient when you focus on what you have rather than what you don't. You open yourself up to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. So the next time you're faced with a challenge, take a moment to reflect on what you can still appreciate, what's still going right. What lessons are you learning by practicing gratitude? Even in difficult times, you'll find that life becomes a little lighter, a little brighter, and a lot more meaningful. Control your reactions, not the events. One of the most empowering Stoic teachings is the idea that while you can't control what happens to you, you can always control how you respond. Life is unpredictable. Things will happen that are completely outside of your control, whether it's the behavior of others, random events, or challenges you didn't see coming. The Stoics believed that the key to inner peace and resilience is recognizing that while you can't always control the events around you, you can always choose how you react to them. Why your reactions matter more than the events. The Stoics had a saying, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it. That matters. This was a central part of their philosophy. Think about it. Two people can experience the exact same event, they losing a job or facing a personal crisis, and have completely different reactions. One person might feel overwhelmed, anxious, or angry, while the other stays calm, focused, and proactive. The difference isn't in the event itself, but in how each person responds. You can't always control what life throws your way, but you can control how you choose to deal with it, and that's where your real power lies. The Stoic approach. Focus on your inner world. The Stoics believe that we should focus on controlling our inner world, our thoughts, actions, and emotions, rather than getting caught up in the chaos of the external world. Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This idea is liberating because it puts the power back in your hands. No matter what happens, you're in control of your mind, and that's the one thing no external event can take from you. For example, imagine you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. You can't control the traffic, and you can't make the cars move faster, but you can control whether you sit there getting angry and stressed or whether you take a deep breath, accept the situation, and use the time to relax or mentally prepare for the meeting. The traffic jam is outside of your control, but your reaction to it is 100% in your hands. How to practice controlling your reactions. Learning to control your reactions is a skill that takes practice, but it's one that can change how you experience life. Here's how you can start focusing on your reactions rather than the events themselves. Pause before reacting when something happens that triggers an emotional response. Take a moment to pause before reacting. This gives you a chance to think about how you want to respond rather than just reacting on autopilot. Ask yourself, is this in my control? Before you get upset about something, ask yourself whether it's something you can actually control. If the answer is no, focus on controlling your reaction. Instead, reframe the situation. If you're faced with a difficult event, try reframing it in a more positive or neutral way. For example, instead of thinking, this is the worst thing that could happen, try thinking this is a challenge, but I can handle it. Your mindset shapes your experience. Real-life example: handling criticism. Let's say someone gives you harsh feedback at work. Your first instinct might be to get defensive or upset, especially if you feel like the criticism is unfair. But the Stoic approach would be to pause and reflect before reacting. Ask yourself, is this something I can control? You can't control the other person's opinion or the way they delivered the feedback, but you can control how you respond. Instead of reacting emotionally, you could choose to calmly consider whether there's any truth in the feedback. If there is, great, you've learned something valuable. If there's not, you can let it go without letting it ruin your day. Either way, by controlling your reaction, you stay in charge of your emotions and your mindset. The benefits of controlling your reactions. When you learn to control your reactions, you'll notice a lot of positive changes in your life. One, less stress. You stop getting worked up about things you can't control, which means less stress and more peace of mind. 2, better relationships. By controlling your emotional responses, you're less likely to lash out at others or let your emotions drive your actions. This leads to healthier, more constructive relationships. 3, more resilience. When you control your reactions, you become more resilient in the face of challenges. You learn to handle setbacks with grace and keep moving forward, no matter what. For a greater sense of power, knowing that you can control your reaction to any situation gives you a sense of empowerment. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and start realizing that you're in control of how you experience life, letting go of the need to control everything. One of the reasons we struggle to control our reactions is because we often feel like we need to control everything around us. We want things to go a certain way, and when they don't, we get frustrated or upset. But the Stoics remind us that trying to control everything is a losing battle. The more we try to control the uncontrollable, the more stressed and disappointed we become. For example, if you're planning a big event and something goes wrong, maybe the weather doesn't cooperate or a key person cancels at the last minute, you could let it ruin your day, or you could choose to accept that some things are out of your control and focus on making the best of the situation by letting go of the need to control everything. You free yourself from unnecessary stress, learning to respond, not react. One of the best ways to control your reactions is to practice responding instead of reacting. Reacting is automatic. It's what happens when you let your emotions take over without thinking. Responding, on the other hand, is thoughtful and deliberate. It's about taking a moment to consider your options and choosing the best course of action. For example, let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. Your immediate reaction might be to get angry, honk your horn, and maybe even yell at the other driver. But if you take a moment to pause and respond instead of react, you might realize that getting angry won't change anything. You can choose to let it go and continue your day without letting the incident ruin your mood. Conclusion, your reaction is your power. The Stoics remind us that while we can't control what happens to us, we always have control over how we respond. This is where your true power lies, not in trying to control the events around you, but in mastering your reactions to those events. When you learn to control your reactions, you gain a sense of peace and inner strength that no external event can take away. So the next time something doesn't go your way, take a deep breath and remember, I can't control the event, but I can control how I respond to it. By focusing on your reactions, you'll find that life's challenges become easier to handle and you'll be more resilient, calm, and empowered in everything you do. 11. Stay humble and avoid ego traps. Let's talk about humility, a key Stoic principle that's often overlooked in today's world in a culture where everyone's trying to stand out, get noticed, and be the best. It's easy to fall into the trap of letting your ego take control, but the Stoics believe that humility is one of the most important virtues to cultivate. Staying humble means recognizing that you don't know everything, that you're always learning, and that you're no better than anyone else. Ego, on the other hand, can cloud your judgment and lead you down a path of arrogance, overconfidence, and ultimately failure, while ego is dangerous. Ego is the voice in your head that tells you you're better than others, that you don't need advice or help, and that you've already got everything figured out. It's the thing that makes you feel invincible until you're not. The Stoics knew that letting your ego take over is a sure way to lose your way. Epictetus said, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. When you let your ego convince you that you already have all the answers, you stop growing. Learning and improving ego also makes you more vulnerable to failure when you think you're invincible. You take unnecessary risks, ignore advice, and overlook potential dangers. Humility, on the other hand, keeps you grounded. It allows you to remain open to feedback, to keep learning, and to recognize that there's always room for improvement. The Stoic way. Stay grounded in humility. The Stoics believed that no matter how successful you become, you should always stay grounded in humility. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in the world, as the emperor of Rome, constantly reminded himself to stay humble in his writings. He reflected on how fleeting fame and power are, and how even the greatest leaders are still human, capable of making mistakes and needing to learn. He said, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. For the Stoics, being humble didn't mean thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. It's about focusing on what's important, your actions, your integrity, and your character, rather than being obsessed with status, recognition, or approval. How to stay humble and avoid ego traps. Cultivating humility is a lifelong practice, especially in a world that constantly pushes us towards self-promotion and ego-driven behavior. Here are a few ways to stay grounded in humility. Keep learning. One of the best ways to stay humble is to recognize that you don't know everything. No matter how much you've achieved or how skilled you are, there's always more to learn. Stay curious, open to new ideas, and willing to grow. Listen more than you talk. Humility often starts with listening instead of dominating conversations or always needing to be right. Practice listening to others. You might learn something new, and even if you don't, listening shows respect and humility. Accept feedback. Ego hates feedback, but humility welcomes it. When you receive constructive criticism instead of getting defensive, see it as an opportunity to improve. Even if the feedback stings, it's a chance to grow. Real-life example, avoiding ego in the workplace. Let's say you've been promoted at work and are now managing a team. It's easy to let that new title go to your head and start thinking you know more than your team members. But if you let your ego take over, you're likely to ignore valuable input, make poor decisions, and create a toxic environment where your team feels undervalued. The Stoic approach would be to stay humble. Recognize that even though you're in a leadership position, you don't have all the answers. Listen to your team, be open to their ideas, and accept that you can learn from them just as much as they can learn from you. This kind of humility makes you a better leader and earns you the respect of your team. The benefits of staying humble when you practice humility and keep your ego in check. You experience several benefits that improve not only your personal growth, but also your relationships and success. One more personal growth. Humility keeps you open to learning and growth. When you recognize that you don't know everything, you're more likely to seek out new knowledge, skills, and experiences. Two, stronger relationships. People drawn to those who are humble because humility creates space for others. When you're not constantly seeking attention or validation, you're more present in your relationships, and people appreciate that. Three, better decision-making. Ego can cloud your judgment and make you take unnecessary risks. Humility, on the other hand, helps you stay grounded, consider different perspectives, and make more thoughtful decisions. Four, greater resilience. When you stay humble, you're better able to handle setbacks. Ego tends to shatter when things don't go your way, but humility helps you accept failure, learn from it, and bounce back, handling praise and success. One of the hardest times to stay humble is when you're experiencing success, whether you've just achieved a major career, milestone, received public recognition, or reached a personal goal. It's easy for your ego to swell in these moments, but the Stoics would remind you that success is fleeting and the goal is to stay focused on what truly matters, your values and your actions, not external praise. For example, if you've just been publicly recognized for an achievement, enjoy the moment, but don't let it change how you see yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that fame and recognition are temporary instead of getting caught up in the applause. Keep your eyes on the bigger picture, living a life of integrity, doing your best, and staying true to your principles, letting go of the need for validation. Another ego trap is the constant need for validation from others, whether it's through social media likes, compliments, or recognition at work. The ego craves validation. But the Stoics believed that true self-worth comes from within. Epictetus said it is the nature of the ignorant to see themselves as wise and of the wise to see themselves as ignorant. In other words, those who are truly wise understand that they always have more to learn. When you let go of the need for constant validation, you free yourself from the ups and downs of external approval. You start to focus more on your own growth, your own values, and your own journey without worrying so much about what others think. Conclusion: humility is a strength, not a weakness, in a world that often values ego and self-promotion. The Stoics remind us that true strength comes from humility. By staying humble, you keep yourself grounded, open to learning, and focused on what really matters: your actions, your character, and your growth. Ego might give you a temporary high, but humility leads to long-term success and personal fulfillment. So the next time you catch yourself feeling superior or seeking validation, take a step back and remind yourself, stay humble, stay grounded. When you let go of ego, you open yourself up to a life of deeper meaning, stronger relationships, and continuous growth. 12, practice patience. Good things take time. Let's wrap this up with a key Stoic principle that's often overlooked in our fast-paced world: patience. We live in a society that's all about instant gratification, fast food, same-day delivery, instant messaging. But the Stoics understood that good things take time, whether it's achieving personal growth, mastering a skill, building a career, or even finding happiness. The best things in life are usually the result of consistent effort over time, not quick fixes. why patience is crucial for success. Think about any major goal or accomplishment in your life. Did it happen overnight? Probably not. Most worthwhile achievements take time, persistence, and of course, patience. The Stoics believed that patience is one of the key virtues for living a meaningful and fulfilling life. Without patience, we get frustrated, give up too soon, or settle for less than what we're capable of achieving. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. It requires you to stand firm and be ready for the unexpected. In other words, life is full of challenges, delays, and setbacks, and you have to be ready for the long haul. Patience allows you to stick with something even when it's hard or when progress feels slow. It's the ability to keep going, knowing that the process itself is valuable, not just the end result. The Stoic way: endure and stay the course. The Stoics had a concept called endurance, which is closely tied to patience. They believe that enduring hardships and staying the course, even when it's difficult, is what builds strength, resilience, and wisdom. Peak, I said, no great thing is created suddenly any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. This is a reminder that everything worthwhile in life takes time to develop. Imagine you're working toward a fitness goal, whether it's building muscle, losing weight, or improving your endurance. You can't expect to see dramatic results after just a week or even a month. Real progress takes time, and it's the same in every area of life. Patience is what helps you keep going, even when the results aren't immediate. How to cultivate patience in a fast-paced world, in a world that's constantly pushing for speed and immediate results. Cultivating patience can feel like swimming against the current. But the Stoics believe that patience is a practice. It's something you can develop with time and intention. Here's how to start building more patience into your daily life. Embrace the process instead of focusing solely on the outcome. Learn to appreciate the journey, whether you're working on a project, building a skill, or improving yourself. Remind yourself that the process is just as important as the result. Set long-term goals. Patience comes more easily when you're working towards something bigger than short-term rewards. Set long-term goals that align with your values and remind yourself that progress takes time. Manage your expectations. Unrealistic expectations can lead to impatience. If you expect immediate results, you're more likely to get frustrated and give up. Be realistic about the time and effort it will take to achieve your goals. Real-life example: building a career. Let's say you're just starting out in your career and you've got big dreams of climbing a ladder or starting your own business. It's easy to get impatient when things don't happen as quickly as you'd like, when you're passed over for a promotion or your business takes longer to take off than expected. But the Stoic way would be to embrace the long-term process. Building a successful career takes time, effort, and patience. You might not see results right away, but every step you take is building a foundation for future success. Instead of rushing the process or getting discouraged by delays, focus on what you can control: your work ethic, your skills, and your perseverance, and trust that the results will come in time. The benefits of patience. When you practice patience, you unlock a number of powerful benefits that improve not only your personal growth, but also your mental and emotional well-being. One less stress. Impatience creates stress and frustration. When you accept that things take time, you let go of the need for immediate results and experience more peace. More resilient patience helps you stay the course. Even when things don't go as planned, you develop the mental strength to handle setbacks and keep moving forward. Better decision-making. When you're patient, you're less likely to make rash decisions. You take the time to think things through and make choices that are aligned with your long-term goals. For greater appreciation, patience helps you appreciate the small steps and victories along the way. Instead of rushing through life, you learn to savor the journey, overcoming the urge for immediate results. One of the biggest challenges to patience is the constant urge for instant gratification. We live in a world where everything is designed to be fast, fast food, fast internet, fast results. But when it comes to the things that matter most, speed isn't always the answer. The Stoics remind us that the best things in life, whether it's personal growth, meaningful relationships, or professional success, take time. For example, if you're learning a new skill, like playing an instrument, it's easy to get frustrated when you don't improve as quickly as you'd like, but the Stoics would encourage you to embrace the slow progress. Every practice session, every mistake, every small improvement is part of the process. Instead of rushing to get good, focus on the joy of learning and the satisfaction of gradual improvement, letting go of the need for quick fixes. In our fast-paced society, we're constantly looking for shortcuts, quick fixes to solve our problems or speed up our progress. But the Stoics believe that real lasting growth comes from steady, consistent effort over time. There are no shortcuts to wisdom, success, or personal fulfillment. For example, if you're trying to improve your mental health, you might be tempted to look for quick fixes, whether it's through self-help books, motivational videos, or quick mindfulness hacks. But the Stoic approach would be to recognize that true mental and emotional growth takes time. It's a daily practice of mindfulness, reflection, and self-awareness. There's no instant solution, but over time you'll notice real meaningful changes. Conclusion, patience is the key to long-term success. The Stoics remind us that patience is not just a virtue, it's a strategy for success. When you learn to embrace the process, stay the course, and let go of the need for immediate results, you set yourself up for long-term growth and fulfillment. Life is a marathon, not a sprint, and the most meaningful achievements are the ones that take time. So the next time you're feeling impatient, take a deep breath and remind yourself, good things take time. Trust the process. Stay consistent and know that every small step you take is bringing you closer to your goals. With patience, you'll find that not only do you achieve more, but you also enjoy the journey a lot more along the way. As we've explored throughout this episode, Stoicism isn't just an ancient philosophy. It's a practical, everyday tool that can help you live a better, more fulfilling life. Whether it's learning how to focus only on what you can control, embracing failure as a path to growth, or practicing patience. When life doesn't go your way, Stoic principles are all about helping you stay grounded, resilient, and focused on becoming the best version of yourself. Living by these Stoic principles isn't about perfection, it's about progress. You don't have to get it all right all the time, and you don't have to be emotionless or indifferent to life's challenges. Stoicism is about learning to master your reactions, control what's in your power, and let go of everything else. It's about recognizing that setbacks, delays, and even failures are all part of the process of growth and improvement. In this episode, we've covered a lot of ground. How focusing only on what you can control frees you from unnecessary stress and worry while doing your best in everything. But letting go of the outcome is a game changer for your peace of mind. The importance of self-discipline and patience in achieving long-term success. Why failure isn't the end, but a stepping stone to becoming stronger and wiser. How controlling your reactions to life's events puts the power back in your hands. And finally, the value of humility, gratitude, and embracing change as part of life's natural flow. The truth is, life will always throw challenges your way, but with Stoic philosophy, you can learn to face them with courage, calm, and clarity, instead of being overwhelmed by things you can't control. You'll find yourself focused on what matters most: your actions, your character, and your mindset. That's where your real power lies. If this episode resonated with you and you found these Stoic principles helpful, Make sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends and family. Let's spread the wisdom of Stoicism together. And don't forget to subscribe for more episodes where we dive deep into practical ways to apply timeless philosophy to your daily life. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, true strength isn't about controlling everything around you. It's about mastering yourself